Yo, welcome to the Horns Up Podcast, your home for all things Los Angeles Rams. I'm your host, Johan, and as always, this is my co-host, Rune. You can find us on our socials at Rams Nation and Puka Nakua Lover 12. From breaking news to game breakdowns, hot takes to honest fan reactions, we're here to bring you the highs, the lows, and everything in between. If you bleed blue and gold, this is your spot. All right, Rune, we're back. Episode number 5, I believe, right?
Five or six, probably. I think five.
Yeah,
It
5.
has to be five.
Coming off a big preseason win here against the Chargers at home. Wow, this one was crazy, man. From the
What a
beginning to
game!
the end, even from the first minute, everything was crazy this game. It came down to the last second. It was a nail biter. It had you on the edge of your seat. A lot of people say, it's just preseason, but us diehard fans will take anything. And this one, this was something that we really had to cherish, and you just had to be there.
Yeah, and just kind of a heads up uh, to everybody. You can save your thoughts for who you're voting for in 2028. Don't vote red. Don't vote blue. Vote Stetson Bennett for president. That is Stetson Bennett the fourth for president.
All right, well, we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, Stetson Bennett's one of them. So why don't we go ahead and get into our first segment here? All right, first segment for today, we're going to talk about a little bit of the offense. We're going to review how the offense did, review a couple guys who stood out, and just the performance overall. I'll go ahead and start off first with the biggest part of the offense, Stetson Bennett. Man, Stetson looked great out there. He looked a lot better than last week. He looked pretty good last week, but this week, man, he turned it up. Stetson Bennett going for over 300 yards in a preseason game. We saw no dresser win action, unfortunately. This was Stetson. This was Stetson's game.
Okay, unfortunately, I don't think unfortunately I don't think Dresser win is I'll never get why you think this high of Dresser win, honestly.
Dresser win. He's just a fan favorite QB.
No,
That's why he's brought back every
no,
year for the preseason.
no. But no. Stetson looked this is the best he's ever looked. I mean, I think he went what, 28 for 40. I think that
20
was
for 40, yeah,
28 for
340.
40, three touchdowns, one pretty bad interception, but you can look past that. Which included the game winning touchdown in there. So that's always nice. But no, this is the best Stetson looked in his Rams career throughout the preseason.
Yeah, Stetson looked great, man. He looked very patient. He missed a couple throws here and there, but overall, you can't complain with what you've got. And the biggest part of Stetson's game, I think, his clutch factor. He has it in him. When you need a guy with 2 minutes left, even 50 seconds left, I think the last drive was. Stetson is the guy you want. He's looking like the preseason GOAT already. Stetson, I mean, he just had a great game. You can't be upset with it. He's starting to look like a legit backup. Might be taking Jimmy G's spot soon. So Stetson, I'm really proud of him, but he's not the only guy that performed. Let's get into the rushing room a little bit here. We saw a couple different guys. We saw Jarquez Hunter, we saw some Cody Schrader, and we saw a little bit of Blake Corum. Who was your favorite out of the three?
If I had to choose a favorite, I no doubt it was Jarquez. There was a couple runs that he would gain about four or five, but his biggest thing is just he's a thumper, and he's going to be that guy who's able to bounce off, break through contact. I mean, he's a different type of running back in this running back room. I mean, Kyron Williams and Corum, they're pretty much the
Yeah, they're
same
similar.
same play style, but you compare Blake Corum to Jarquez Hunter, they're night and day different, and I think Jarquez Hunter, in my opinion, has a solid opportunity to take over that running back two spot.
Yeah, Jarquez Hunter, he looked a lot more explosive than anyone else we saw. Cody Schrader was decent. I feel like a lot of people were kind of overhyping him because of last week. But Cody Schrader, he looked decent. Blake Corum, I mean, we only saw a couple carries. Jarquez Hunter, though, definitely the RB1 in this game. He got most of the work. And I thought he looks pretty good. The stats won't really say it. 15 rushes, 55 yards, 3.7 a carry, which, it's not the greatest if you're looking at it. But when you watch the game, I mean, he was fighting for those yards. He was working for those yards, and I really like to see it. He definitely stood out the most to me. Cody Schrader, I mean, maybe deserves like a little bit of love there, but the receiver room. This is where a lot of action happened, man. We saw a lot of different guys get touchdowns. We saw a lot of different receptions, and we even had a guy that had 100+ yards, Brennan Presley.
Oh man, he he kind of just came out of nowhere. But over 100 yards yesterday, including that amazing catch on the
Right.
final drive. I don't know how there wasn't any PI on that, but
I don't know either, man.
at the end of the day, doesn't matter. He caught it. We scored. We won. So not much to complain about. It is preseason, but I mean, you still can get excited about plays like that. I mean, that was one of the best catches we've seen in the preseason so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, Brennan Presley seems like he's maybe fighting for the wide receiver five with Kanata Mumfield. We haven't seen too much out of Kanata Mumfield in these preseason games. He was taken in the seventh round, so the Rams, they're probably higher on him than Presley. But Presley's putting up a real fight for that wide receiver spot. Kanata only had two receptions, 12 yards, and one touchdown. It was a nice little catch, but overall, Brennan Presley, he's shining, man. Xavier Smith, too, he looked decent. He had a couple catches, four receptions, 49 yards. Can't complain with Xavier Smith's performance. But Brennan Presley, man, in this wide receiver room and this whole offense, I felt like I just saw Stetson to Presley, right? Over and over and over. That was the connection tonight. Another guy we saw was a little bit of True Edwards. We also saw a little bit of Mario Williams in there, Tulane former Tulane guy. But yeah, overall, the offense, I mean, it was on fire tonight. Would have loved to see a little bit more from either Schrader or Hunter, but great performance from the offense. They were clutch. They got the win. Offensive line, they were looking pretty decent too. Anyone on the offensive line stand out to you?
Um, I think if I had to choose a couple guys that stood out to me on the offensive line, I'd say Justin Diedick.
Hmm.
He was pretty solid. One thing that did happen in this game, Willie Lampkin did come out, but
Right.
I mean he's a guy who Rams are really going to have to make a tough decision whether they want to keep him or not, and I'm all for him. I think the fact he's 5'11" is kind
Yeah.
of everybody's talking point, but he can still put you in the dirt, man. He's
Willie
he's
Lampkin.
amazing.
Willie Lampkin, he looks like a dog out there. It's gonna be a little hard for him to jump Bo Limmer for this backup center spot. So I don't think that he's necessarily the backup center yet or a backup guard. I think the Rams will probably keep him on the practice squad, but there are a lot of teams watching out. There's a lot of headlines about him right now because I mean, when's the last time you've seen a 5'11" guard in the league? I don't think there's ever been one. So Willie Lampkin, he's kind of like a 50-50 guy to me, which we'll get into a little bit later. But overall, the offense looked pretty good. QB, Stetson can't complain. Rushing room was good. Receiving room great. And the offensive line, they held up. They did their job. They did just enough. Stetson only got sacked once, which is great to see. But let's go ahead and get into the other side of the ball, the defense. We'll be right back. All right, let's get into some defense talk here. Do you want to go ahead and start off with the D line, linebacker room? What are we feeling here? Corners, maybe?
Uh, Starting out on the D line, guy who really stood out to me. I think it was six pressures in total. Des Dejuan Johnson,
Mr.
former
Irrelevant.
former Mister Irrelevant. He looked amazing. He looked like a man among boys. He was just a pressure machine. He just kept breaking through, and kind of what we're going to get into later, kind of more on the 53-man roster. But before, I was Team Murchison. I thought Murchison was a better choice, but now I think watching this game, I think that this
Getting
battle
tough.
between Murchison and Johnson for a potential just roster spot, um, I think Dejuan Johnson after this performance, I think he's in the lead now. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, Desjuan Johnson looked great out there. As you said, former Mr. Irrelevant. out of Toledo. He looked great. I feel like he doesn't get that many chances to play, but whenever he does play, he's always making plays out there. I'm a big Desjuan Johnson guy. He's starting to climb the depth chart a little bit. The defensive line room is stacked, so it might be hard for him to get some meaningful playing time, but he's rising up the depth chart, and I mean I feel pretty good about the depth of the D line if something were to happen. And another guy on the D line that stood out to me, Brennan Jackson. He looked pretty good out there. Before this game, we've never really seen anything out of Brennan Jackson. Rams drafted him last year. He was hurt most of the year. We saw him for like a couple snaps here and there, a little bit in the Week 18 game. But this is the first game where we really got to see Brennan Jackson play. And he had two sacks out there. One of them was just kind of like the QB fell and he got awarded with the sack, but still he looked great out there with the other sack. I mean, he earned it, got around the edge. He had a nice move. And yeah, he really stood out to me. Pretty good in run defense as well. He's not just a pass rusher. So I love to see the D line doing good. The linebacker room, your guy stood out, man. Over and over and over. All I kept seeing, whether he was making a tackle or not, or just reading a play, Sean Dolak. We've talked about him over and over, but I mean, you have to when he keeps performing like this, right, Rune?
Yeah, and kind of just a difference from last week. Last week it was more Chris Paul Jr. wearing the green dot. This week, it was more Sean Dolak
Sean
with
Dolak.
that role. But just it was Chris Paul Jr. and Sean Dolak. They were the two inside linebackers. They were the starters in this game, and I feel like they really should be the second string. It should be Spates and Landman as your one and two, and then CPJ and Sean Dolak as your three and four. And you notice how I put them in order one, two, three, four. I don't have the Rams keeping a fifth. I think it's really going to come down. I think Reeder and Dolak is a real battle right now,
For the last
and
spot.
scary enough, Troy Reeder hasn't really played in the
Yeah.
preseason at all, so that kind of worries me. But at the same time, Sean Dolak is also a rookie, so they could be wanting to test him out before they make a decision. Troy Reeder's a guy they've liked for what 7, 8 years now.
Ever since McVay took over, essentially, he's been here for LA. He's been here when we were at the Coliseum. He's just always stuck around somehow.
He's inevitable.
Yeah, he is inevitable.
But I want if it comes down to Dolak and Reeder, I think I think Dolak is who you should keep over Reeder. Of course, it is preseason. Dolak really hasn't had. Well, he has had no. What's going on with me? He has had no regular season work, and Reeder has, of course. But I think uh, Jake Ellenbogen, along with me, well, I didn't really do anything with him, but he had a third round draft grade on Sean Dolak, and I did figure he was going to go around 3 or 4, but just it was a real shocker for him to go undrafted, and I think that the Rams struck gold with this undrafted free agency signing, and I think if you let him hit the practice squad, he will
Yeah,
without
he's
a
getting picked up.
doubt get picked up by somebody.
Yeah, Sean Dolak, he's a hidden gem. Surprisingly went undrafted, so I think the Rams are definitely they're gonna keep him away from other teams. They might have to keep him on the 53-man roster. I would rather have Troy Reeder on the practice squad and keep Sean Dolak on the active roster just because of the future potential. I don't know what the Rams still see in Troy Reeder. I think him not playing it's an indicator that he's gonna be on this team still. Another guy in the linebacker room that he's been getting slept on since last year. I've always had my eye on him. Eli Neal. He's always been looking solid out there. And he's just been a practice squad guy. Sometimes he'll jump up to the roster when a guy hits the IR or something. But Eli Neal too, he looked pretty solid. I don't think he's definitely making the 53-man roster. I kind of agree with you for the last spot, either being Dolak or Reeder, but it's going to be hard to keep both of them. Maybe they open up that fifth spot. But I was actually talking with my brother earlier, and I was thinking maybe the Rams can experiment and do something fun. I was thinking, why not try out Troy Reeder at fullback? I'm telling you, Troy Reader, he doesn't bring much to the linebacker room anymore. He's just a veteran guy. You might as well get the best out of him. You could line him up. I mean, Troy Reader's not a small guy. You can line him up, and I'm pretty sure he can go out there and throw a nice block.
I don't think you're wrong. That's not really something I thought about, but that wouldn't be insane. I think just as smart as McVay is, he could implement Reader as a fullback and come up with just a variety of plays. I don't think that's insane to do at all.
Yeah, I'm not saying give Troy Reader the ball and run a fullback dive, but maybe throw out a little block or a little play action. And that can keep his spot on the team without him having to play linebacker. And he can kind of be that fifth guy that can also play linebacker, but he's kind of fullback. So I don't want to get a little off guard here, but that's just an idea that I had. So let's get into the DB room lastly. AJ Green was a guy who stood out to me, man. Very good in coverage. The stats, I mean, don't show much, just two tackles. But man, if you're watching the game and you were watching closely, AJ Green was locking everyone up.
Yeah, I really liked what I saw out of him in coverage. Didn't have as many snaps as last week. Last week he had 43 snaps. This week I think it was in 20s. But no, AJ Green looked great in coverage. He had a
Right.
couple key blocks, or not blocks, pass breakups.
PBUs.
Yeah, but no, he looked really good. It might be because uh, the Chargers don't really have any wide receiver depth, but
Yeah, the Chargers, their wide receiver depth, it didn't look too good. Especially once Quentin Johnson went down in the first minute of the game. I think it was Cam Lampkin who delivered that hit, who he's also been looking really solid. And the last guy that I want to get into the DB room here is Tanner Ingle. Tanner Ingle's been
mm,
looking solid, man. A lot of people are
yeah, he
sleeping
looked
on
good.
him.
He looked good. I like
Tanner
it.
Ingle, he's one of those hitting, hard hitting safeties. He plays like a dog. He's not the fastest or the tallest, but man, he'll go out there and make a play for you.
Laying the wood, and especially on that one hit that uh, killed Quentin Johnston. But Quentin Johnston, rest in peace, man. He died doing what he loved, and that's dropping a pass. So, actually, in all seriousness, I do hope he's okay. You hate to see that, but it was illegal. I keep seeing salty Charger fans saying it was an illegal hit. Nope, ball was still in play. Ball was still in the air. It was a legal hit.
Yeah, really good play right there from Tanner Ingle, who he's another guy who's been kind of up and down from practice squad to the main roster. I think this might be the year he cracks in. It's just hard with this DB room. There's so much depth, especially at safety. But it's also a good thing. It's a good problem to have when you have guys like Tanner Ingle who are fighting to make a spot on this roster. So now that we've gone a little bit through offense and defense, we might as well go through special teams too. Joshua Carty, he's been looking pretty solid as usual. I believe he had two extra points and a field goal.
Has he been perfect so far?
Yeah, he's been perfect. I don't think he's
Oh,
missed
good.
anything. Picking up where he left off last year, Joshua Carty, he's a pretty good pick. I mean, I don't have anything to say about Carty, anything negative. I mean, when your kicker's making all this PATs and field goals, I mean, there's nothing much to say, which is a good thing. I'd rather not be talking about kicker than having it be a thing that we bring up every week when the Rams are missing
Yeah.
extra points, which was a problem for a minute, but thank God we got Joshua Carty. He's really holding down the kicker spot. Ethan Evans too, our punter. He has a really nice leg. He could drop a nice punt inside the 10 or 20, which we saw a little bit of punting yesterday, about two or three punts, but nothing too crazy. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump into our last and final segment here. It's gonna be a little bit about who's gonna make this roster, who might not make the roster, who's fighting for the last spot. Let's get into it right now. All right, Rune. I want to talk about who might make the roster, who is going to make the roster. Is there anyone that's surprising you right now that's, maybe turning a little idea in your head that they might have a spot at cracking this roster?
I think Going back to earlier, Dejuan Johnson. I really think he can replace. I well, he was on the roster last year? Yeah.
LaRoe Murchison,
No. Dejuan.
Desmond Johnson, he was on the roster last year.
If we're going just based on guys who weren't on the roster, I think. Man, I don't know, man. I think AJ Green. I think AJ Green looked really good, and I think the Rams could be cautious and keep a would he be a fifth or sixth DB? Let's see. Akilo, Kobe, Darius Williams,
Um,
Emmanuel
Foreman.
Forbes. I think he'd be the fifth DB. So they might be a little more on the cautious side and keep AJ Green kind of just as that backup option.
Yeah, he's probably the fifth DB, and then maybe six would be like Charles Woods or Josh
Char-
Wallace.
yeah, maybe even Cam
I
Lincoln,
think
but
I think Charles Woods was the last cornerback on the roster most of the
yeah,
but yeah, let's see. Let me think of a guy here who had a really good preseason last year. He's been having a pretty decent preseason this year. And I think the guy who's didn't make the roster last year, who's probably gonna make it this year, I think it's going to be Cam Lampkin. He was a practice squad guy last year. I know we talked about him a little bit right now, but Cam Lampkin, he's been looking solid. Last week he had a pick. This week he was pretty sticky in coverage. The box score only shows 3 tackles, but pretty good game so far. Pretty good preseason so far from Cam Lampkin. Do you think that he has a chance at making the roster this year?
I think he does. I don't think it's out of the question, but the Rams are pretty satisfied with their DB room this year, and I think if they keep one guy, it'll probably be AJ Green or Charles Woods. Probably leaning more towards Charles Woods,
Let's not
maybe.
forget about Darion Kendrick, who was also on the roster.
Oh yeah, 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 Darion Kendrick.
Darion Kendrick is
Shit,
the guy.
yeah.
So this cornerback room, it's getting really tight, man. Safety, corner, it's getting right towards the end of that. We still have one more game to see what we've got. But man, once it gets past Forbes in the depth chart, the and Darius Williams, I mean, those last 2 spots are really valuable. And you have a lot of options. You can go Charles Woods, Cam Lampkin, Josh Wallace, Darion Kendrick, a guy they're familiar with. I don't know, man. This it's getting pretty tight right now, but I want to go ahead and switch it to offense and talk about maybe a receiver or running back that can make this roster. There's a couple guys that are turning my gears a little bit. Cody Schrader, he might be able to make this roster. He was on the practice squad all of last year. Let's see, maybe is it crazy to say Kanata Mumfield maybe doesn't make the roster? I know you've been high on him.
I don't I've been really high on him, but I've been rather disappointed this preseason. I mean, of course he is coming off a slight ankle injury, but
Yeah.
that's it's kind of besides the fact. I think this last preseason game, it's really going to be a telltale sign and be like, because I think Xavier Smith has leapfrogged him in the wide receiver
Yeah.
rankings. I think Xavier Smith is now guaranteed to make this roster. Now,
Brennan
I
Presley that's pressing for that spot.
yeah, I think Kanate Mumpfield is now going to be really pressured in this last game to outplay Brendan Presley, who's going to be coming off a 100-yard performance.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's anything really could happen. I mean, hell, they could even cut Kanate and maybe not even let Brendan Presley make the roster and instead have Britton Covey.
Yeah.
But I don't think that'll happen at all. I haven't seen really anything out of Britton Covey. I thought he was going to be the sole punt kick returner for this team, but I haven't really seen any of that out of him.
Yeah, I think we've seen Schrader even returning punts here and there.
Yeah.
So Britton Covey, I think his time with the Rams might be over soon. Kanata Mumfield, that one, it's tricky because they used to pick on him, but his spot might be in danger with Brendan Presley. So yeah, a lot to talk about in this episode. We went over the offense, defense, a little bit of who might make the roster and who will make the roster, a little 53-man squad prediction. But that's going to go ahead and do it for today. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to go check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram. wherever you follow us, we're probably there. So thank you guys for tuning in, episode 5. You have anything else to say before we head out, Rune?
All right, I'm gonna start doing question of the episode at the end, like at this kind of portion. But all right, question of the day: would you wear a 49er hat for a full calendar year
No.
if it meant the Rams were guaranteed a Super Bowl?
Oh man. My heart's kind of telling me that I should consider that, but I just can't put up with that. That's humiliating, man. To wear a 49ers hat for a whole year. I don't think I can. I don't think I it just doesn't sit right with me. Thank you
I
for
would
putting
take
it.
one for the team. I honestly would cut off. I would cut off some body parts for. I'd cut off some fingers for a for a Rams Super Bowl.
Well, hopefully it doesn't get to that point. Go ahead and comment. Would you guys wear a 49er hat for a full calendar year if the Rams won a Super Bowl? Let us know in the comments. But that's gonna go ahead and do it for us today. We appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Make sure to check us out on social media. But yeah, keep your horns up. We're out of here.
Yeah.